Hi, my name is Nicole.
Hi, my name is Tony.
And my name is Shao.
And welcome to the Dope City Podcast. First off, congrats on being re-elected to City Council, the top voter getter for the City Council.
Thank you. I'm Councilmember Isaiah Thomas. Thank you for having me, and I appreciate the congratulations.
Can you tell us about your background and what inspired you to pursue a career in public services and politics?
Sure. I'm born and raised in the city of Philadelphia. I'm a product of the school district of Philadelphia, similar to you all. I went to Elwood Elementary School, Conwell Middle School, and I graduated from Frankfort High School. I then got a bachelor's degree in psychological and social science from Penn State University and a master's degree in education from Lincoln University. Born and raised in the northwest section of the city. And to be honest with you, I started to become a lot more politically active when I turned 25 years old. Once you turn 25, you're eligible to run for a local office. And at the age of 26, I ran for city council, and I was inspired to run for office because I wanted to be the change that I wanted to see. We've seen a huge issue as it relates to funding for public education when Tom Corbett became governor some time ago, and we were facing a huge deficit. And government chose to balance the budget on the back of education, and we've been struggling ever since. So that's what inspired me to get involved and run for office, and here I am today, some 14 years later.
Growing up in Northwest Philadelphia, what are some values and experiences that shaped your perspective on education and community?
Sure. I mean, so first and foremost, growing up in my neighborhood and with my parents' family mattered the most. My mom and my dad raised me to really understand the importance of not just loving and being involved with my family, but being a good steward, a good citizen in the city of Philadelphia. Being in the northwest section, we spent a lot of time playing sports. We got a lot of teams and organizations up there. So, I was able to grow up playing baseball and basketball, but also put me in a position to understand the importance of being involved and engaged. I live in one of the places in the city of Philadelphia where voter turnout is pretty high. And it was a pretty common thing for us to go to the polls with our parents and to understand the importance of exercising the right to vote when I turned 18. So I love my community. I still live in the northwest section of the city of Philadelphia, and it's an honor to represent that community as a member of city council, but really an honor to represent the entire city.
You have a strong commitment to education and youth empowerment. Can you share some of the key initiatives or programs you've been involved in to support young people in the city of Philadelphia?
Sure. I mean, so for me, education it starts with where I went to what I went to school for. But I've taught everything from undergrad down to kindergarten. I still coach high school basketball. I was a former administrator in schools. Used to be a dean. Used to be an athletic director. But the reason I still coach high school basketball while being on city council is because it informs my perspective. It keeps me in a position where I'm in schools, I'm in neighborhoods. I understand what young people are going through. I understand what teachers and mentors are going through as well too, right? Because it's the young people who we serve, but it's the teachers and the mentors and administrators who kind of got to sustain the soul that serves, right? So at the end of the day, the reason I still coach specifically is because it helps keep me grounded. Outside of coaching high school basketball, I do a free camp every year. So my camp has 150 kids. We do it at the end of the summer. It's a basketball camp, but we offer so much more. I was just talking about the camp yesterday, actually. This past summer, we had goats come out to the camp so young people could experience something a little different. We taught coding, we had dance, we had arts and crafts. And again, it's free. And I do that because I want to make sure that young people have the same opportunities that I had when I was growing up. So at the end of the day, I'm the chair of the education committee on city council. So I'm constantly working with the school district and the school board to figure out what's best for young people in our city.
How do you believe education opportunity and coalition building can help create a better future for the Philadelphia residents?
That's a really good question. I mean, everything, to me, everybody's talking about the crime in the city, but the crime is nothing but a symptom of bad schools. And while I happen to be in one of our better schools in the city of Philadelphia doing this podcast, you guys just walking the halls and looking at the melting pot of students and staff and seeing programs like the room I'm in right now, it shows that we know how to educate our children and we know how to do it right. But it's not a priority. It's not being replicated in spaces and ways where every child has access to a quality education, no matter where they live, no matter what part of the city you live in. Your zip code shouldn't determine the likelihood of you being successful or not. And so at the end of the day, For me, this is my bread and butter, and again, it started with me being a teacher. My dad is a former teacher. He used to be a teacher and a union rep. So, I say all the time, city council is my job, but working with young people is my calling for the career.
As
Did I answer your question?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah.
All right. I feel like I'm rambling a little bit. So.
No.
All right.
As a council member, you serve on various committees. Can you discuss some of the significant initiatives or legislations you've been part of that aim to provide the quality of life in Philadelphia?
Sure. So like you said, I sit on a lot of committees. The one I'm the most proud of is being the chair of the Education Committee. We've done some things around economics and taxes to help local businesses. But I think the thing I'm most proud of is my driving equality legislation. And this was a bill that we passed over a year ago. And basically, the legislation puts us in a position where police officers can't just pull people over because of the color of their skin. We understand police officers are under a lot of pressure. There's a lot going on in our city. But at the end of the day, when you look at what happens with people of color in traffic stops, and we had an incident recently where a young Latino man who was in a car where he was unfortunately lost his life involving a traffic stop. We are often wrong as it relates to how we handle traffic stops, specifically talking about government and law enforcement. And we're also not curbing the crime, right? So we can talk about pulling more people over, but that's basically trying to get rich by hitting the lottery, right? Nobody goes to school and gets your degree and learn all these amazing things like you're learning just to try to hit the lottery. You're doing it because you want to earn a quality living. And so as it relates to law enforcement and how we police, I don't want to try to hit the lottery. I want to catch bad guys, right? And so my bill basically changed changed how we enforce 8 motor vehicle code violations, whereas though instead of pulling people over, those violations would now be enforced with a citation. It's a model that I'm really proud of, and what ended up happening was other cities across the country adopted the legislation because people recognize this is a need, this is a path, it's not the solution, but it's a path to address some of the racial and stereotyping issues we have as it relates to people of color being pulled over unjustly when driving in certain neighborhoods. So I'm really proud of that. That probably is my prize legislation thus far, and is work that came out of lived experience as well as being on the Public Safety Committee.
In your opinion, what are some of the most pressing issues facing Philadelphia today, and how can they be addressed at both community and policy levels?
That's a really good question. I would say public safety and crime is the thing people are talking about the most. Poverty is a big problem in Philadelphia. Over 20% of our city lives in poverty. That's more than any other major city in the entire country. But again, I think that poverty and crime are symptoms of bad schools. And once we fix our schools, you won't see as much poverty, you won't see as much crime.
You're also involved in coaching basketball as, I believe it's called Sanko Freedom Academy.
Yep.
How has your experience in sports influenced your approach to leadership and community engagement?
That's a really good question. It really, because of sports, it has taught me to be a team player. And think about when you're in school and you got to do a group project, right? Like doing a group project in school is like being on city council, because at the end of the day, for us, no one council member can get a law passed or get money moved a certain place. You need to be able to work with the other council members and form a team and put yourself in a position where a team of people is making a difference. And so sports really help inform my perspective and shape my opinion on how to work with other people. And that's exactly what I have to do on city council every single day, whether it's working with other council members or working with state legislators or federal legislators. Being on a team is what it means to be an effective elected official.
Can you share some of the insights into the importance of civic education and how it can empower your young people to become active and informed citizens?
Yeah, sure. So civics is important, and we don't teach enough of it in our schools. Young people should understand local government, just like you study like American history, right? American history is an important subject, but people should understand local government. Like a high school student should know that there are 203 state reps in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, 17 members of city council. A middle school student should understand the difference between the executive branch of government and the legislative branch of government. And we should make sure that every student gets the opportunity to get registered to vote while they're in school. That's just something that should happen. And if it were up to me, we will all take off for election day. Not just close some schools, close every school, close all government work, just like we do on other holidays. Make election day a holiday. Encourage people to go out and vote, and make it a cultural norm for people to participate in elections. So I think civics and government is very important. It's part of the reason why people aren't involved in government is because they don't understand how valuable their vote is.
What advice would you give to middle school students who are interested in pursuing a career in public services or getting involved in their communities?
Don't wait. Get started now. A middle school student coming home and telling their parents who to vote for judge or who to vote for city council, those things would matter a lot. Volunteering and understanding how government works, right? Like, no one's going to turn down a middle school student who wants to be an intern, who wants to learn. And when you become an intern and you learn, now you've developed a skill that someone can pay you for, right? And that's an important thing. Just like you do carpentry and other things, you can't get paid to learn carpentry, right? Like, somebody has to teach it to you, and then once you learn it, now you have a skill set. Or even being on a podcast, right? Like, in the beginning, it's about building your brand and also fine-tuning your skill. And once you fine-tune your skill and you have a brand and a reputation, now you have a product that you can go sell. So the main thing I would say to middle school students, similar to what y'all doing right now in the areas you care about, is get involved. Get involved now. Learn as much as you can now, so that you can put yourself in a position to be able to market yourself and to bring yourself in a way where as though you know enough to be paid for what you know.
Can you tell us about a particular memorable moment or impactful moment in your career as a council member? Reframe your committee into your work.
I have a lot of them. Most of them involve young people and making a difference in the life of young people. I had one of my mentees who was struggling to pay his tuition at Temple University. He was going to drop out of school, and we were able to work with Temple to be able to help him with that. We've had a number of young people with stories around the holidays where the families didn't have any means or resources to provide Christmas gifts. We ended up adopting that family plus another 4 other families around Christmas to make sure that all of the young people in that family had an opportunity just to open a few gifts and have some joy around the holiday time. We've had bad situations as well too. I remember watching body camera footage of an unfortunate police-involved shooting that really broke my heart. It was super sad. Going to multiple funerals since I've been on city council for police officers as well as other city employees is always super sad. So at the end of the day, I think one of the things that happens is when you become an elected official, there's a lot of trauma involved in what we see and what we do, because some of the things you guys might see on social media, we actually talk to the families and have to work with them to be able to help transition into whatever phase they have to go into in life after experiencing some type of trauma. So there's been a lot of memorable things. It's been both on the good end and the bad end. But I think the most important thing is making sure I put myself in a position to deal with my trauma so I can serve the constituents of Philadelphia to the best of my abilities.
How can we get more middle school programs like this into more middle schools, especially in north and southwest parts of the city?
I don't know. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's tough because it's not my decision, and if it was my decision, I would make sure that everybody had access to stuff like this. I went to visit Wagner Middle School, which is one of our schools that need a little more of a hub right now based on what's going on so far this year. But when you meet with the principal and we look at some of the things they're doing around home economics and other programs for middle school students, it's absolutely amazing. So we know we have the staff, we know we have the professionals, the appetite, and most importantly, we know we have the talent of the young people to be able to do what y'all doing right now. But for some reason, I just don't understand why we struggle to replicate things that work and put them in schools across the city. So I got to get back to you on that one. When I do have an answer, I'll be sure to come back on a podcast and talk to you about what we were able to do to put us in a position to replicate what I see here today at Mayfair.
As a graduate of Philadelphia Public Schools, what changes, improvements do you hope to see in the city's education system to ensure every student has access to the quality education?
For me, it starts with facilities, right? Like, everybody should have access to a quality building, first and foremost. Nobody should have to walk into a school have to worry about breathing in asbestos or being involved in areas that's just not safe. So the facilities is first, but then after that, it's all about climate, culture, and curriculum, right? Like making sure that young people have access to the most updated education, right? Smart boards and coding and technology, financial literacy, civics and government. Education should be apprenticeship programs like you have here. Education should be more than just math and literacy. And I think we've boxed ourselves into this math and literacy corner, whereas though standardized testing, which predominantly tests math and literacy, standardized testing has become the mechanism to determine what success is and what success isn't. Right? Somebody can fail a standardized test, right? But what if they could build something like what I see back there? Are they a failure? Well, see what I'm saying? But what if you built that house, but what if you didn't perform above standard for literacy? But at the same time, you're working in a space of communication on a consistent basis by having a podcast. Maybe somebody's an English second language student and their literacy is a little behind because they still learning words. Every student's story is different. And based on how I was taught as an educator, not only do everybody learn differently, right? Like people don't all learn the same, but everybody's natural skill set is different, right? You got some people who are like kinesiology geniuses. They're super fast, they jump super high, and that's their strength. And you got other people who are like artists, and they can just look at something and they can draw exactly what they're seeing. Are they more or less intelligent than the person who could do mental math in their head, right? Or the person who goes outside and they can deal with nature in the way that the average person can't, right? I don't deal with nature, that's not my thing. But I can do my timetables pretty well. My son is amazing at mental math, and he's in 6th grade. So at the end of the day, because he's amazing at math, right, and somebody else is amazing at science or carpentry, one shouldn't be above the other. And I think we have to move away from the space where we're assessing young people using standardized tests. Standardized tests are important, but that's only one tool. What about portfolio means of assessment? What about hands-on experiences? What about internships, right? So there's so many different ways a young person can learn that I believe we need to change how we assess and view what success is for children.
Thank you so much for coming out and letting us interview you, Mr. Isaiah. Thank you so much for watching another episode on the Dope Student Podcast. Bye!
Thank you for having me.
Oh, go ahead. You want rapid fire? Turn back on.
What's the rapid fire?
We don't have the questions. You already had it, bro.
Oh, well, I don't know what they got. They're going to ask you Max's or Gina, D'Alessandro's.
Either.
Oh.
You said Max's, Geno's, or D'Alessandro's.
Okay. King or Germantown?
King. I'm uptown.
Oh, man.
I
My
can't.
dad wants that King.
I'm uptown.
G-Town, man.
I'm uptown.
No.
Germantown and Upsall, man.
King, my neighborhood high school.
Oh, Germantown, my neighborhood high school. All right. What else was it?
University or Penn State?
Oh, that's tough for me. I went to both. I'd probably go with Lincoln, honestly. HBCU.
No, what you say?
She said Lincoln University or Penn State.
No, Einstein. It was Cheney or Lincoln.
Oh. That makes sense.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, Lincoln.
Damn, I forgot what the other ones
I
was.
went to